I haven't seen them, meaning in my lifetime, we haven't seen this phenomenon. The first one, he said, is a group of people, قَوْمٌ مَعَهُمْ سِيَاطٌ. They're a group of people that carry whips. They carry whips that look like the tails of cows. So they carry whips, يَضْرِبُونَ بِهَا النَّاسِ, and they are beating the people with it. These are people who have been given authority and they're using that authority unjustly and beating people. As some of the ulama mentioned in explaining this, they are those who are, for example, the police force or the forces that have been given the responsibility in the country to establish peace and order and law and order, but they use that power to beat the people up unjustly, or to bribe them and take their money, and if they don't give them money, they beat them, right? Or they transgress against their huquq. طيب? The hadith is not understood that the people who established the law or police officers are going to the hellfire. Because Prophet ﷺ said at the end of the hadith, these two groups will be in the hellfire, wal-'iyadu billah. Right? As long as they are establishing law and order and in a way that is just, then there's no problem. But once they transgress against the people's rights, and they beat people up and arrest people for no reason while they're innocent, then this is blameworthy. And Prophet ﷺ saying, it didn't happen in my time, but it will happen towards the end of time. And everybody sitting here listening to that knows this is the reality in the times that we're living in today. Right? In the parts of the world that we're living in now, this is a reality. Police brutality has become a normal thing. People getting arrested, people getting bribed, people being blamed for crimes they didn't commit. I'm not talking about quote unquote, the third world as the kuffar would refer to our countries as, but I'm talking about even in the Western modernized world, quote unquote, you'll see this reality. Dhulm happening by the people who have been given the authority to enforce the law. That's the first category. The second category, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, is women who are kasiyatun ariyat. They are wearing clothes, but they're naked. Ma'ilatun mumilat. They incite or try to incite the men to desire them, and they desire men as well. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, رُؤُوسُهُنَّ كَالْبُخْتِ. Their heads look like the humps of camels that are tilted. So here the Prophet ﷺ is describing a phenomenon where a time will come where you will see women who are wearing clothes, what is known in the population to be dressed, but in reality, they're not dressed. In reality, you can see all of their appearance. It's wadih, it's clear. Nothing is hidden. Although, if that person is walking in public, they are considered by the population to be what? Dressed. Again, this does not need any ta'liq or any sharh or any explanation. This is what we're living with today. Right? And every single year, it gets worse and worse, and you're wondering, what's happening with people? What's going on with society? Just today, I was shopping for clothes for my daughters, and my daughters are young. And I was just puzzled as to the designs that are being put in the stores for girls to wear. I had to say, I can't buy this for my daughter. And my daughters are young, 6 years old, 7 years old, they're young. But this is the reality. And this is considered to be clothing. To the point where if you say, this is not clothing, why are you wearing this? They'll blame you. What's wrong with you? Brothers can't go to the gym anymore because it's a problem. Because they're naked. But urfan, they're not naked. Wal-'iyadu billah. Right? And this is a dangerous phenomenon that we have to be careful with regards to our ummah as Muslims in terms of teaching our community the proper way of dressing. Khasatan for our sisters. طيب? Because this is something that is dangerous. Right? And in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ mentions, they entice. Today we live in a time where these, what are they called? Social media influencers. Majority of these influencers who are becoming rich online, the only skill they bring online is they show their body. Wal-'iyadu billah. And they're telling you they are influencers. They're brought to events. They're brought to fundraisers. They're looked at as people who are, mashallah, role models for our community and our society. And the only thing they do is what? They fashion their body. Wal-'iyadu billah. This is what the Prophet ﷺ is mentioning. He's saying, in our time, we have never seen this, but it will come towards the end of time. Then the Prophet ﷺ concluded by saying those two groups of people, the first and the second, both of them, he said, they will not enter paradise. And they will not smell the fragrance of Jannah. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And the Prophet ﷺ said, وَإِنَّ رِيحَهَا لَيُوجَدُ مِنْ مَسِيرَةِ كَذَا وَكَذَا. And the smell of paradise can be smelled from a long distance. Some of the other riwayat mention 700 years. Yani they will never even smell the fragrance of Jannah, let alone entering into Jannah. We ask Allah for protection. So these are the times that we're living in of, trials and fitna and tribulation and dhulm that are happening. But the glad tidings are reinforced for us that we what? We stick to the truth. We learn our deen. We practice our deen. We obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for protection. Because these trials and these fitna are going to happen as the Prophet ﷺ predicted. Alayhi salatu wassalam. Inshallah, we'll stop there for today. We'll continue with our next reminder on Thursday. هذا والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.